So first of all, my question is, how did you yourself get into crypto?
That's a very interesting story. I think it was now around maybe 2.5 years ago that a colleague of mine in my previous job just told me about this whole new technology that's out there, and that he invested into some coins back in the days, and then he started doing some research about the potential behind that, and he introduced me to it. So it was, I think, 2.5 years ago almost, and it happened basically over lunch break in our canteen in my previous job, and we spoke, I think, for like 2.5 hours, and I think I missed 2 meetings at that time.
Okay.
But it was then that he started to really infect me with that kind of virus, so started his interest, and then first thing that I did, because I myself am more like a cautious person, so I did a lot of research about the whole idea behind it, technology behind it, where could I invest, what platforms are out there, is it risky or not, because it was a complete black box still then. And and since then I've been very, very engaged in actively trading also in the industry myself. And was the right decision for me back then to listen to my colleague.
Really?
And to get into it.
So did you invest into crypto back then or any other time?
No, I did not invest on the day, obviously, because as I said, I'm a little bit more like, I like to do a lot of research before I do anything. So about like 1 or 2 weeks after, I started investing into various platforms, some assets, just to see how it goes. Make my first experience, had my first little crashes, had my first breakdown, and so that's what I lost some money. But this is how you learn. This is part of the learning curve.
Yeah, fair enough. But then you joined Kraken, right?
Yes.
Why and how did you join Kraken?
Well, the how was quite easy. I was looking for a job opportunity in that field.
In the cryptocurrency?
In the cryptocurrency industry, and I was a private user of Kraken. I know the quality of their product, the high level of customer service that they do.
Oh, cool.
And I found this opening on their website, so it's quite easy actually, quite simple. There's no better story behind that. And I wanted to change in industry because I myself have a banking background. I was working in a mobile bank in Amsterdam, and I wanted to change into this whole crypto space because I saw, of course, the challenges that these people in this industry faced. The whole fact that it was an undiscovered market, an unclaimed territory still. Not every market share is taken already, so there's a lot of opportunity there in that market. It was like a little bit like, it is still like a huge adventure also, because there's so little regulations or so many things that can still happen. It happens so fast. Those were the attracting factors for me to go into this industry.
So my next question is, but obviously you already answered. Is it difficult to be a crypto exchange?
I don't like using the word difficult because difficult is that if you have a bad job and you have 5 kids that you have to feed on your own, that's difficult.
Okay.
But for us, it's a challenging world. That's also for me personally, of course, why I joined Kraken. It's a challenging world because you're dealing, as I said, with a completely new industry, a completely unregulated market still, de facto, to 99%. A market where I think maybe have 0.5% of the active traders that are currently in the market. I think the really huge majority of people is still holding out to get into, and now it's part of companies like ours, like Kraken, to actually build the trust, to educate people also about the products and the potential behind that, and to thereby actually generate trust and that people are willing to step into the industry. Because let's be honest, there are a lot of scams out there, there are a lot of black sheeps out there, and it's for companies with a good reputation and with decent companies like ours, that's part of their job to also not do the platform, but really take people by the hand and give them like an entrance into this world. And this is part of our job, and also part of that everyone in our company feels like is part of our mission statement also.
And can you speak about what your trading volume is? Do you know the numbers?
Myself or for Kraken in general?
Kraken.
I mean, you see, obviously, if you check out certain websites, you have hundreds of millions on a daily basis that are going back and forth. It's still obviously currently a little more of a calmer period. If you think back about this crazy months we had a few months ago, it was crazy. But this is actually good. It's good that right now we still have a lot of activity, a lot of new users every day. But it gives us some breathing time still to, get up to our growth, to onboard new people, to train new staff, because the people on our end that are in our customer service department, our account management, those people, they deal in the end with people's money. So they need to be properly educated, properly trained in order to handle this responsibility. It's not for everyone. And we do not want to expose any of our users, regardless if he or she has €1 or €1 million on the platform, to someone on our end that is not properly trained and educated. So we're using this time right now to really bring people up to speed, to train them, educate them, so that they can then in the end deliver the best service.
Well, there
for
are
our
so
users.
many crypto exchanges
Yeah.
appearing and entering the market every
Yeah.
single day. Do you consider them competitors?
No, well, obviously, as I mentioned, the blockchain industry is incredibly fast-moving. And there are new crypto exchanges out there, as you mentioned, quite quickly, especially crypto-to-crypto exchanges only. We do not perceive them necessarily as a close competitor of ours, because we are a crypto-to-fiat exchange. And with that, it comes an additional level of responsibility. We have been in the market for several years now. If you look at the total market cap of exchanges now, we've always been in the top 10 for a long period of time now, which in other industries would equal to maybe 50, 60, 70 years, right? Feels like it, at least. And we look, of course, what other exchanges do. Some of them are doing a great job, I have to say that, but we primarily focus on ourselves. We know our strengths, we want to deliver, we want to compete de facto on quality service, on stability, reliability, security, and this is something that we compete on. And the people that we compete on most with is probably ourselves, because as you know, we are a growing exchange, growing company, and for us it's very, very crucial that we keep our quality high.
What do you think about decentralized exchanges?
Well, it's definitely a very interesting concept. I definitely get the appeal behind that idea. To be quite frank, I myself have not yet made up my mind on it. I need to see a little bit more details, a little bit more experiments about it, a little bit more proof about it, before I can make any assessment on that. So I would not feel welcome to make an assessment now.
But do you think they can replace centralized exchanges?
Well, I don't think any replacement will happen. I think maybe in the midterm there might be an additional tool for certain types of investors. However, given the fact that we are a centralized exchange, we have one order book, that we have our banking and financial institution partnerships. This is something that generates a lot of trust with our users. And this is something that especially this industry needs more than others. Trust, reliability. And so as I said, definitely interesting concept, definite idea, and I have not yet made up my mind on it. Probably needs a few more years, also needs to see more white papers, more tests, etc. on how things really would work out. But as of now, it's we know who we are, we know what we do best, and we know that we have still untapped maybe 0.5% of the whole potential.
So you mentioned that you joined in December 2017,
That's exactly.
right? How many clients did you get since that time?
I do know, of course, the numbers. It's obviously, if you take it if you look at our trading volume, you see that it has exploded over the last few months, especially that's in the, let's call it, hot phase that we had in the last winter. Got more and more mainstream. You had like this big, I call them old school newspapers that don't really know what they're talking about, but they heard about crypto, they didn't want to miss out. Yeah. And they started writing borderline true or not true articles about a lot of things. And this obviously fueled the growth, right? But as I said, I still don't see that we are nowhere near market adoption or mass market adoption.
It is growing, but it's not yet. We're not there yet.
The way we see it, it's still that we are somewhere in the, if you want, take the traditional adoption cycles of new products, services, we see it more that we are in the early adopter phase, in the innovator phase, where we still have people that, they're tech savvy, that maybe don't even have an established banking relationship. For them, banking is just a means to do something, to have money on their wallet and send it around. That people that grew up with the internet, with the whole idea of free information and freedom of choice, that they start adapting us, using us, but that a lot of the older investors or the older institutions also, they're still, for obvious reasons, a little bit more reluctant to enter the market because they made some bad experience in the past. They don't really understand the concept. They don't really see maybe the potential in it. They don't understand it, so they're afraid of it. So that's where part of our job comes in again, to educate them a little bit in the sense that it's a legit investment type. You can benefit from it. Not everything is a scam. There are legit projects out there. It's really part of. It always boils down to taking people's fear of something.
Because fear of unknown. In this
fear
case,
of the unknown, exactly. It's always the same case. If it's money or something that you do not know, do not understand, you fear more than something you understand. And especially in the end, we're dealing with people's money. This is probably next to health, maybe the most sensitive topic area you could touch. And that's why it's very important for us also as a company to be aware of that, to understand that, and do not expect anyone to think like us. So for us it's very important to understand why certain people think in a certain way, why institutions might not be that interested yet, and try our best and of course to bring them on board. And we have to be aware that it's an uphill battle and it takes time, right?
When do you think, in your opinion, when can we say that mass adoption has been achieved? So what should happen? Like major trading desks launched in I don't know, JP Morgan and stuff. So what would be the sign?
I mean, obviously, it's very difficult to predict anything in this industry, right? If I look at the development in the last 5 years, 6 months, it's on the regulatory side, it's an insane speed that happens. So I would not feel comfortable making an exact prediction because just I can't. And if someone if someone says he or she can, then I would like to meet that person and I might like to that person because I'm very interested in their opinion. So as you said, mass market adoption has several how do you say it, aspects, right? Obviously from a trading aspects, there should be more bigger fish maybe that invest more, but also more retail users, right? Because right now if you go out, you have a lot of people that still have their money, let's say, in some saving account or something like this that generates maybe, I don't know, 0.5% interest or something like this. And as long as these people, don't change their mind and come to the crypto side of things, you might not be able to call it a mass market adoption in a classical sense. Because if you look at the classical investment product, for instance, funds, you name it, they are all to some certain, at least mass market adopted, meaning that a lot of people invest in it. Some people might not even know it because they tell their bank to invest into certain things and they have no idea what they invest in, but they do it de facto, right? And so for us, it's now also part of this learning process that we need to get more of these institutional investors in order to push those products also through to their clients in the end. So I don't know if there will be like a certain threshold that you can say, now it's mass market or everything underneath is not mass market, but there's definitely a lot of ground still to cover. And a lot of education that needs to be done. Because, definitely. I mean, that's what I said, and that's what you guys obviously know better than I do, that if you take the traditional media and also take it's called traditional financial media, some of them doing great, excellent journalistic work, some of them don't. Some of them, they write articles that are just factually not true. And thereby, of course, hindering this whole mass adoption.
So by educating, you also mean giving the facts straight, right? So not only explaining, but reporting.
No, exactly. I mean, for us as an exchange also, as I said, we're dealing with people's money. So for us, it's very important that we have open, direct discussion about anything. And let's be real, there are black sheep in this industry. There are scams in this industry. We should never, ever forget about it. We should never try to cover it up. But then again, this is part of every new industry, to some bigger or smaller extent. It's just that this industry is so quickly fast moving that it seems like a lot, but you have black sheep everywhere. We should never cover this up. We should be aware. We should educate people that might not be investing in crypto now in the risks of it. Do your own research. Be aware that it is a risky investment to some extent. And it's part of our job, but it's also part of media, like yours for instance, to report about this and to be de facto a certain educator in that market. Because let's be honest, if not you or us or some other players in the industry, who's doing it? I don't see a lot of schools or universities starting, or you have to start in schools. We're from primary school, high school probably, to educate people about these things. I don't see that happening anytime soon. It doesn't even happen necessarily with traditional investment products.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So
Exactly. So they need to get their information from somewhere, right? And this is part of our job, also to educate our clients, to help them. Even though we're not an education company, we're an exchange. The fact is our core business, but we do it because it's part of our mission statement and part of let's say crypto-specific news, like you, for instance, or news in general. To just speak to people, learn about before you write an article. It should be journalism 101, right?
Yeah, right.
In theory.
At the end of the interview, we would like to ask you, as being a part of this industry and being an exchange, a couple of funny or useful tips for
I mean, there are a couple of useful tips that you can probably adapt to other parts of life as well. I mean, obviously do your own research. If someone tells you, hey, this new product is great, even though that person might have the best intention, might be your friend or family member, that's great, but do your own research. Read about it, see who the owners are, the team of it. If you can, read the white paper, understand it, and just try to get a feeling for it. That's one part. Then be aware that it is an investment, which means investment, especially our industry, is also subject to a certain level of volatility.
Yes.
Which means certain. I mean, obviously, so we know that the price most definitely will go down at some point, just to go up again. So be aware of that this will happen to you. Be aware of... Prepare yourself.
But should they hold?
That's up to every single individual. I will never tell you what to do. It's up to you.
Yeah.
You have to be aware that the price will fluctuate. but you will never lose money until you hit the trade button for a price that's lower than when you bought it. So you have to be aware of it. Just try to stay calm in those periods. Do something, do yourself a favor, and don't maybe necessarily look at the price every day because it just makes you crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, I mean, obviously, don't invest all your money in it. Be smart about it. Diversify, not within crypto itself, but as I said, real estate if you want to invest, or just keep it on your bank if you want to spend some money on something else. This is just advice that I can give, and this is something I think personally. I'm pretty sure you will find a lot of other people out there that might have different opinions. It's just me personally. But in the end, you have to keep yourself true to certain values and also to who you are.
Cointelegraph. Like, subscribe, and hodl.